Hey guys, Kyle here. So, just before the show starts, I wanted to mention our Patreon. You can pay us $1 a month as a thank you, as a tip. You can pay $2 a month to get access to one of our bonus content shows, episodes 2 days early, and a secret Discord chat where all of our Patreon donors get to go and hang out and talk with us directly. Then there's a $5 tier that you can donate to get access to a whole bunch more content. We have multiple bonus episodes on there. So please check it out. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. We don't advertise, we don't make money. So check it out and throw some money if you think that would be cool. Thanks. Welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show where we explore the unusual, the unbelievable, and the unexplained to try and make your world a little weirder. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Niall, and boy howdy are we having a fun day today.
What a fucking day it's been, and it's just barely getting started. Can you fucking believe it? So, Niall, I'm not going to give away any secrets here.
Yeah, keep the secrets under wraps, but we can tell the public information.
I kind of want to give the listeners at home a timeline here. Because,
okay.
You're like, okay, we got to do this sort of abnormal recording. I personally love the morning recordings. I got a cup of coffee here. This episode actually is going to be a race against time between me starting the cup of coffee and when it forces me to run to the toilet to take a big coffee shit.
Oh, for sure.
So this is going to be, well, first of all, the first speed run episode, I think, of the podcast.
So if this episode's 35 minutes long, it's one of two reasons, because we have a bit of a choose your own adventure time crunch thing happening today.
I'm trying to go under 35 minutes here. I'm trying to get it somewhere in the 20s probably, but we'll see. People are going to look at the runtime.
What's your average time from first sip of coffee
sip to shit ratio?
Yeah. What's your sip to shit counter? It's like the spawn clock where it just starts counting down as soon as you use your powers.
There are factors here. There are factors. So, like, if I had, like, pasta and cheese for dinner.
Oh, yeah, you got the lactose intolerance fucking extra thing going on.
Yeah, if there's, like, pasta and cheese the night before, then it's, like, a 50-50 coin flip on whether it will... People are going to love this. It's a 50-50 coin flip on whether it's, I'm constipated, and the coffee's going to help push that through, or I just straight up have diarrhea.
Yeah, and that's what we call the IBSers gamble.
Yeah, and like I'm so used to the IBS lifestyle that none of this like phases me as much as it used to. But like here's the thing: turning 30, I felt like my IBS got like 10 times worse. And
so instead of you getting flirty when you turned 30, you got your IBS got flirty.
Turdy.
Yeah, I just burped and I had to edit it out. And so we're back in the podcast now. But that's a good time to bring up the fact that literally 3 minutes before we started recording today, because our fucking Gmail account notified us, we were reminded that this is technically an anniversary episode.
Not technically. It's like I don't keep track of that.
Yeah.
But I went to our email account, right? Because we have emails from our wonderful, sexy, smart listeners out there. And it had like a happy birthday message on the Gmail. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I looked at our website and it was like, yeah, we're like recording. It's been 8 fucking years.
8 years.
I didn't even realize.
How things have changed.
That's like amazing, but also really freaky to me.
We're going to soon be on our 3rd president of the podcast.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't say it like that.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, I guess that would all make it very appropriate that we start the episode in a very scatological way. That's sort of a good tribute to, where we were 8 years ago.
Drunk and burping.
Yeah, and every time I have to fucking go back and listen to those old episodes, I'm like, wow, we would not do this today. Because, I occasionally have to dip into those, see how we mishandled a particular topic back in 2016. But anyways,
I guess happy anniversary to us or something. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
cool. It was fucking cool, but weird. Um, Now we do have a listener email, uh, and I think I should read it to you.
Okay.
So this comes from I don't know how they want me to refer to them, but we're both familiar with them. They're Jealous Cactus in our Discord.
Okay.
And they have I believe it is a commentary on a previous big question of ours about like movies.
Fair.
I think.
Maybe the Hidan of Mappian one. And yeah, I did
Well-
just say that because I wanted to say that word again.
The title says another big question, and they say, I still need to see that Jeff the Talking Mongoose movie that recently came out, but it got me thinking of movies based on paranormal cryptid alien shit I would like to see, which I think we did discuss that recently.
Yeah.
Which, side note, now you weren't there for Jeff the Talking Mongoose, were you? Did you ever go back and listen to that?
I think I did a long time ago. Yeah.
That was me and Jules.
And yeah, I didn't know that. I forgot there was a movie happening of that, and
I did
that would be a
too.
fun one to watch. I literally I watched a conspiracy movie last night.
Oh, really?
I watched 3 Days of the Condor.
I don't know that one.
It's a Robert Redford movie from the 70s about like him as like an analyst for this like CIA outfit uncovering this like basically deep state organization inside of the CIA
Oh my
by
God.
accident. So he's then on the run from these guys trying to kill him, and he's just an analyst that reads books and stuff, but he like it's
So
a
you're
really,
watching a
really fucking good
documentary.
movie. Basically, yeah.
That's
I- like,
interesting. I'd never heard of
I've
that.
been thinking a lot about I want to watch that movie Soldier. That's the Kurt Russell movie, because that's the one that supposedly Andy Perro was like a consultant
Oh.
on for the super soldier shit. There's like a couple of these. I think we're due for a couple of movies on the Patreon.
Yeah,
I think what I'm getting.
I would definitely be down. Now I don't want. It's interesting you should bring that stuff up. I don't want to spoil anything too much, but I've been working on a future episode, and
Mhm.
you know how we had Psychic Winter.
I am well acquainted.
We're about to enter something that I'm calling CIA Summer. So
I love the
So-
eras. Like if we were smart, we would have T-shirts printed
Well,
for these
okay,
things.
and look. I may or may not have been dabbling in trying to design some stuff for T-shirts. I don't want to.
Okay.
Again, it's
Look,
slow
I don't
going.
want to say too much stuff on the podcast because I feel like we've been like
That's true.
slightly teasing it for fucking ever. And look, it'll happen if it happens.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, keep an eye out for shirts or don't.
Yeah.
So, anyways, sorry, I got to continue with this email.
Oh, you're good. Oh, right. We're in the middle of an email.
They continue on and say, John Keel is probably my favorite writer on my subjects, and my dream directors for adapting his work have always been David Cronenberg and Terry Gilliam. Okay.
Ooh. Okay.
Interesting. They could
I
really
would love to see Gilliam deal with this stuff. That'd be great.
Yeah, they say here they could really nail the vibe of high strangeness, which I
Yes.
agree. I agree with that very much. I also think a skunk ape stoner comedy practically writes itself. Seth Rogen would most likely have to be involved. I could think of a bunch of others, but want to keep the email brief, and I'm sure you all could think of some great cinema. I definitely want to see the skunk ape stoner movie, and I think what would be awesome is like if that movie were a thing, it would just wind up being the cryptid version of Paul.
I was gonna say, is it just like do we just make this a franchise and have a series of conspiracy laden,
Yes.
paranormal laden stoner comedies in the
Simon,
Pauliverse?
the Paul verse. The Paul
So,
verse.
and you have different stoners with each of them, but then like
Yeah.
sometimes if someone in like film 4 it runs across an alien that's smoking some high ganj, and they got to go seek out Paul and fucking Simon
Yeah.
Pegg and stuff, like we can make this work. I know I know a lot of people are getting big franchise fatigue, but here's the thing. This isn't based on your fucking comics. This isn't based on your fucking YA book series. This isn't based on your fan fiction
Right.
first created into smut novel universe. This is cryptids. This is real as it fucking
This is
gets.
based in reality, and I could just like like they said, the jokes write themselves there. Like, imagine you're like, they're on a road trip with the skunk ape and they're smoking doobies in their like van or whatever, and they're hiding from who's the guy who's from Arrested Development, who is like the cop in Paul.
Oh God. I don't remember who's in Paul. I only remember.
No, sorry, he's the star of God.
Is it like
damn
Jason Bateman or something?
Yeah, Jason Bateman or whatever. It's the main guy from Arrested Development. Why can't I think of his name? Is that Jason Bateman?
Yeah, Jason Bateman is
Okay,
the dad.
so
the main guy.
yeah, so they're like on the run from Jason Bateman or like a Jason Bateman lookalike, because it's the sequel and they couldn't get Jason Bateman to return for the Pauliverse movies, and they're on the run.
Maybe they'll take a slight turn and get Toby Hale in there. And get
there you go.
The FBI people in these movies are always Arrested Development alumni.
True,
and the other people aren't. I think that's a good rule.
I like that idea. And yeah, you could like make jokes like, oh, I got the skunk ape is like, oh, I got my cousin in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be like a funny joke for people who know about the Copra, who smokes weed and is a Bigfoot that sits in trees. So, these are all great ideas. Thank you for the email.
Hollywood, call us.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, just so you know, we had so many cryptid big questions get sent in from listeners that I have included one of them here for the end of this episode. So
cool. Yeah, let's do some user submitted big questions.
Yeah.
That's great.
This week, Niall, I decided what I wanted to do is bring you a few stories of humanoid cryptids, which is a pretty uncanny genre of creature.
Sometimes you get some of the funnest ones in the humanoid genre. Like you get like the weird metal men and all that kind of shit when you get into this world. So I'm always excited for a grab bag of weird cryptids.
Yeah, I love it too. And there was one specific cryptid that we're gonna get to that is the reason I started doing this grab bag here. But it gets complicated, so we'll get to that in a minute. But first, I wanted the thing with humanoid cryptids is like it can be anything from like a Sasquatch, which you could kind of think of Bigfoot as its own, it's its own species, it's its own subgenre of cryptozoology, because there's a lot of different kinds of Bigfoot creatures and Sasquatches and Yetis and stuff. But then the humanoid cryptid thing can range all the way to like the opposite end, where it's like Indrid Cold gets referred to as a cryptid, but depending on who you ask, they're a supernatural entity, they're an alien, they're a government spook, they could be anything. So like it almost feels like the more human like you get, the more they're like a boogeyman stand-in for like a lot of different things, whereas a Sasquatch is a particular thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But also like a Sasquatch is also like kind of the catch-all for if you're out in the woods and you hear something you don't know. People just like that's the go-to for like that kind of thing. But I do like the fact that we will call anything that is humanoid but just not quite actually, like the uncanny valley is just entirely lodged in the world of cryptid, and I do enjoy that. But it is funny to think of like Men in Black and fucking Indrid Cold as cryptids, and not just like weird dudes.
Yeah, it adds a dimension to cryptozoology that is creepy and fun, I think. So let's start with and here's the thing, I'm gonna presuppose a movie pitch for this particular creature.
Okay. It's good that we start with the important stuff.
This one is going to be the subject of the upcoming cryptid film Bite-Sized Bigfoot.
Oh my god, do we have a little guy?
We got a little guy. This is...
Oh my god, I've been wanting a fucking little pocket-sized Bigfoot this whole time.
I feel like, so we've talked about the Venezuelan hairy dwarves and stuff.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit. Occasionally little guys pop up. This one is from the United States, specifically Columbia, Pennsylvania, around that area. There is a legend of a creature, and I had to look up how to pronounce this because I was in my head pronouncing it wrong when I first read it. It's the Albatwitch.
Okay.
Albatwitch.
Albatwitch.
Yeah, I thought it was Albatwitch, but it's Albatwitch. So this is a 4 foot tall guy, right? And he's humanoid. He's man-like. He tends to stick around to wooded areas. I get the impression that he's a hairy guy too, a squat, hairy, like Bigfoot, basically. So a Littlefoot,
So
really.
We're talking about Danny DeVito here.
Yes, this is Danny DeVito. In fact, will be playing the Albatwitch in Bite Size Bigfoot coming out 2025.
As he should. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect casting. So they are mostly associated with a location in Pennsylvania called Chickies Rock, which it's basically along the Susquehanna, which the Susquehanna River is like. First of all, you and I have a very specific association.
Yeah, you can almost be anywhere without getting anywhere. Yeah, it went in my head immediately, and I started playing the fucking song.
Same.
Still 2 chords. Yeah.
It's so. Can I divulge?
I've now
this?
said too many things. Go ahead and just
Okay.
say what it is.
So, "O Susquehanna" is a Defiance, Ohio song, and Niall and I did have a pretty big folk punk phase of our lives that. I don't know.
Yep.
Would you say you're past it? Because I'm kind of past it myself.
I'm past the infatuation with the genre as a whole. I still like some of the bands.
Sure. No, I feel the same way. Where it's like there's a handful that I still
Same with
enjoy.
ska. Like,
Yeah,
I still like some ska bands.
I gotta be honest with you. I saw Jeff Rosenstock recently. He played some like sax based ska, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm back."
It's fun.
I was listening to ska music the other day, so. But I feel the same way.
It's still look, ska rules. Folk punk can be good, but a lot of it is bad.
There's a lot of bad folk punk,
but
yeah.
there's also a lot of bad ska punk.
That's
so
true.
like it's look,
It's a mixed bag, but you can pick and choose.
music in general is like a 4 out of 10, and you just have to find the 4. You know?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Here's what they don't tell you. Here's what they don't.
Just all of music.
That's true, actually. 100% true. All of music. I think that's an accurate statement, Niall. And here's what they don't tell you about a mixed bag. You can pick and choose the stuff out of the mixed bag, and you can like kind of be selective, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. Oh my God, we were talking about the Albatwitch. So yeah, that's our association with Susquehanna. We actually covered that song in high school together.
I remember. Yeah,
so that was
back when neither of us knew how any of this stuff worked, and we were messaging bands on MySpace to ask if we could cover songs.
Yeah, we messaged. I actually was just telling the very brief story of how we covered an AJJ song and messaged them on MySpace, and I remember very vividly how stoked we were because we sent them. We're like, "Hey, we covered your song." And they messaged us back one word, "Nice."
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Look, they had no reason. Like they could have ignored us. We were like 12
of course,
years old.
yeah. So, anyways, yeah, along the Susquehanna, it's a heavily forested area, and it's along a river. It hits a lot of the classic Bigfoot notes. You know what I'm saying? So along the forested areas that are along this river's shore, that's where you're going to find the Albatwitch. And apparently their name is a short version of what they were originally called, which is the apple snitch. And I don't
Albatwitch, apples. Okay, I don't entirely get how that happened.
Yeah.
But I can see the vague rumblings of it, you know?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't quite understand where that came from, but apparently that's where its name originates. So it was short for apple snitch, which this name comes from a particular habit exhibited by the Albatwitch. So apparently they really like apples, but importantly, the reason it got named the way it did is that there are these stories of how the albatwitch would steal apples from picnickers. And then again, in in classic Bigfoot fashion, these creatures would throw apples at passerby and like hikers and stuff like that. And because these are little guys and they're really into apples, they are said to like actually kind of live up in the trees. Now, hearing this, I don't know how. Maybe there's a big apple tree situation going on out in Pennsylvania. I don't know.
Right.
This reads to me like what are those the critters?
Fearsome critters.
It feels like a fearsome critters style explanation for walking under an apple tree and having an apple fall on your head.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like kind of that. It's funny thinking about how like fearsome critters are almost like a modern myth type thing where they're trying to find a somewhat quote natural solution to this thing they don't understand, much like people will talk about the Greeks doing with the gods and everything. Like they're just a little more low key. Instead of like, why does the rain fall when it does? Instead, it's why did this apple fall on my head?
Sure. There's these like mythological explanations in history for things. These the fearsome critters thing though is like it's like a tongue in cheek urban legend style mythology.
Yeah. We had to add irony to it.
Yeah. Yes. So there's also a part of the legend of the albatwitch that claims that they either became extinct or were driven into extinction in the late 19th century. And there's not much note on that. I think really that idea just comes from the fact that if they're hardly ever seen, you don't get many sightings of them. And I'm just assuming that like that's sort of the baked in explanation for like if you believe that there's this like creature that's undiscovered, it's probably because it's like either nearly extinct or has gone extinct, and there's just these like vague recordings of it from like forever ago, and that's all the evidence we have of its existence.
It is weird to find a cryptid listed with like an extinction, because like I feel like that's something that people is not common with cryptid sightings and stuff, where people say that this thing is actually extinct. It's just that it was stopped. People stopped seeing it at this point in time, and it may have moved on. Or whatever.
Right.
So it's just interesting that there's that bit of clarification.
Yeah. So this area, Chickies Rock, I guess is sort of known for having some weird sightings, and the sightings that I saw posted online were pretty vague, but it says in the 1950s and 1970s, people saw some sort of man-like figure in the area, completely undefined. They like very vague. They don't explain like what this man-like figure was, what the context of the sightings were or anything, but apparently there were some weird sightings in the area during that time. But the thing that I found interesting is that apparently in this area, Chickies Rock, locals claim that you can sometimes hear the sound of what sounds like the crack of a whip being like, cracked in the middle of the night. And so these have kind of become associated with the albatwitch. But
so they like leap between the apple trees, cracking whips in the middle of the night. Seems to be their pattern.
I think the idea is like, I don't know whether they're cracking whips. I would love to believe there's a 4-foot tall Sasquatch fucking running around the woods cracking whips. Maybe we could run in. Maybe the secret is we got to run in there with our own whips and be like, "You boys, quit that whipping."
Yeah, see if we can. I almost pulled that, but I didn't know.
So
there are certain things that's like, have we referenced this enough times on the podcast that I don't have to explain what it is?
Look, it's funny regardless, and
there we go.
This is the 8th anniversary of our show.
True.
Let's get a little up our own asses here, okay?
All right.
So yeah, lots of vague reports of like Bigfoot type creatures, like humanoid creatures in the area, specifically one from Lancaster in 1973, which is like 10 miles east of Columbia.
Okay, so,
so
we're in that kind of area. So that's Lancaster is like the like kind of what is it, Quaker area, whatever that like, not Amish, but it's another
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
I think it's Quaker area in Lancaster. So I'm always interested when stuff like this happens around a community like that, to see if like that community's folklore or anything has any like impact on the cryptids they find.
Mm.
But I don't know if that really tracks
I
here.
honestly don't know. Mostly they reference the Susquehannocks, like a local tribe of Native Americans,
Okay.
because I guess that this is a thing that you'll find in Bigfoot stuff all the time, where like there's some stories of like an ape-like creature that's in
Okay.
their legends, and the internet claims that the Susquehannocks would like depict this ape-like creature on war shields. So they, I guess, were at one point located. The Susquehannocks were located at the base of Chickee's Rock. They had like burial grounds and stuff there. So the connection is that this Native American tribe, they knew that there was an ape creature in these woods, and they wrote it into their legends as well.
Okay.
Now, I did manage to find one other like major sighting of the creature instead of like all these like vague things. And this was on the website phantomsandmonsters.com, which apparently that website has a hotline and you can call and tell them stories.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so somebody called to tell a story of an encounter with a squat Sasquatch-like creature that may have been Albatwitch. This was, I guess, July 18th, 2008, near Red Lion, Pennsylvania. And this woman claims that she was going to get groceries, and on her way home, 2 miles from Red Lion, she saw something weird. And here is her actual account. Quote, I was on the way to the grocery store one day about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and I saw something standing upright against or behind a tree. At least it looked that way. It happened when I was crossing a railroad track, and that was against a hill that had a sharp bend at the top. So I didn't stop, fearing someone would come and hit me from behind. At the time, I tried to tell myself that maybe it was a tree. So when I came back from the store, whatever I saw wasn't there anymore, and I just can't explain it. It wasn't the same color as the tree. That's what made me curious. It was a light reddish brown with beige, almost like the hair was two-tone or something. Sort of like ska.
Yeah.
The hair looked like it was in jagged tufts that looked like it would look darker underneath if you lifted the fur. At the same time...
You picked it up?
No, I think I kind of get what she's saying. It's like...
I was making a joke.
Oh.
Continuing the ska theme. Yeah.
God damn it. I did not even
Look, you were
catch
locked
that.
in.
Jesus
Look,
Christ.
I was born to be silly. You were locked in, you know?
At the same time, it looked like if you'd touch it... Hang on, what does this say? At the same time, looked like you'd like to touch it. Maybe that's because I'm a hairdresser. So she's saying it's appealing. It looks like it would be appealing to touch this thing.
You want to run your hands
You want to, yeah,
touch the
silky
hair.
smooth
Okay.
hair. I can't explain what it was since I did not see a face, nor did I see any arms and feet. But whatever.
Does she happen to give what kind of like shampoo commercial it's giving? Is it like Garnier Fructis kind of feeling,
this is
or Pantene Pro V?
I'm going to go ahead and say, with my particular expertise on the subject, this sounds like a Garnier Fructis situation.
Okay.
Cool. Whatever it was about 6 or 8 feet tall from the ground where it's... God, this account is written weirdly. Whatever it was about 6 or 8 feet tall from the ground to where it stopped, about 6 to 8 feet alongside the tree. I don't quite know what she means by that. I think she's saying it's like 6 to 8 feet tall, which to me is not an Albatwitch, but this...
It's yeah. Is there like a third thing between Albatwitch and Bigfoot where it's like the size of just a guy?
hairy guy.
Because
Very
like
hairy
aren't
guy.
big feet are usually like 8 to 10 feet or whatever the fuck. And
Yeah.
then
This is cousin
Yeah.
it. This is whatever
Yeah, there you
cousin
go.
it is.
Look, this is like a liger where a tiger and a lion crossbreed. It's like where an
Right.
albatwitch and a Bigfoot fucked, and they created this middle thing.
That's probably true. I did notice the part that I saw was a little rounded at the top, as if suggesting a shoulder. It wasn't another tree since nothing else in the area, tree or bush, was that same color. I wish now that I'd gotten someone and looked for tracks. It has rained 3 or 4 times now. I wouldn't be able to see anything. I may go look anyway. I don't know if it could have been a Sasquatch or what it could have been, but whatever it was standing straight and tall and didn't move. I don't know the old big guy, if that's what he was passing by or he's a local. There have been sightings to the south of us and some north of us in Adams County, which is just around 12 to 15 miles from here. I'd like to see him in the daylight again if that's what I saw, but it would scare me shitless if I were to see him at night. I'm here by myself a lot at night, and our dog wants to always go out. When she does, she acts like she is scared sometimes since she stays on the deck and looks. I sometimes wonder what she is looking at. I know this may not be from your area, but thought you'd like to know. There may be others that come across your website, as I have tonight, with a similar story. They're just saying thank you for letting me read my story. People go out looking for Bigfoot all the time. They go places where they think they will see him, and all the time he's probably almost in their backyard. I've read that he will find you, and now I believe that.
Wow. Okay. Hunting
Kind of an
down.
ominous ending.
So it seems like that almost sounds like a transcript, which is why it kind of reads like that.
Yeah.
It sounds like that he might just basically take the hotline and transcribe it word for word and just put it up, which is good for reporting.
I think that might be what it is. So yeah, that's the Albatwitch. You can, it turns out, attend Albatwitch Day this year on October 4th, 2024, where there will be tours, shops, and events themed around a mini Bigfoot. And there's like a lot of news articles around that, like the Pennsylvania area, like talking about Albatwitch from last year, specifically around Albatwitch Day last year. People being like, "Does a tiny Bigfoot live in our woods?" Basically, and
Yeah.
you know the type of article.
When is Albatwitch Day?
October 4th.
You know? Okay. Because like I've been trying to. There are a lot of these kind of cryptid themed days in local communities where the cryptids are, and you know how there's that like that thing where people will have like a map and they have to go to all of the major league baseball parks or whatever.
Cryptid
I feel
map.
like there should be one of those for cryptids where you go to all the like cryptid celebrations.
Oh,
across
surely
the country.
somebody has made that. That would be a fun
I can,
road trip.
Yeah, I can like scratch off the like Mothman Day one already, and then I got to like do the rest of them.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, definitely. Okay, now I want to share a very weird one with you that I had to do some digging to figure out. That is the reason I ended up doing the Humanoid Cryptids thing, because this story was very fun to me, short and sweet, and then there was a twist as I dug into it.
So the Albatwitch was not the impetus for this episode.
No.
Okay. All right.
This is
I'm ready.
This is the story of the Dice Devil of Eklund County.
Look, we do these cryptid grab bags every once in a while because there are a lot of these stories that you can't do a full episode of. And every time you do one, I'm always like, I'm sure I've read like the names of whatever he found, and I just haven't done those because like we both read a lot of shit about cryptids for doing these types of episodes. And so every time you have like multiple and I haven't heard of any of them, I'm just like, where the fuck are you looking?
I don't know. Well, here's the thing. One of our big sources for cryptids is a wiki, which anyone can, add their stories there. But there's a bunch of other stuff. Like there's Lauren Coleman's Cryptomundo is a fucking great source. But like usually if you want to start on the trail of something, I look at a list of cryptids, and the best big list of cryptids is on the Cryptids wiki.
Yeah,
so
I guess I've never clicked on the Albatwitch or this other
there's
one.
so many, Niall, that like it's easy to kind of pass by each other here. But this name intrigued me, so I clicked through and I checked it out. So this is the Dice Devil of Eklund County, also referred to as the Eklund County Entity and the Munson Mystery Man.
Hell yeah, okay. So is this guy like a fucking like craps shark or something? Like, is he good with dice?
Good question. It
the
seems
fucking-
it seems he's not necessarily good with dice. In fact, he might be evil with dice.
Oh, okay.
So this was a sighting by 3 teenage boys in the woods near Munson, Arkansas in 1989. And what's interesting about this one is it supposedly this sighting happened right before a major UFO flap in the Arkansas area.
Oh, okay.
There's only been one sighting of the Dice Devil of Eklund County. So it was September 3rd, 1989. It's the 3 teenage boys, Burl and Davis Willis, and Robert Miller. Now, they are in the bedroom, the family bedroom at their parents' house, playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Of course.
And as they're hanging out playing, they hear loud bangs from the nearby woods. And they were all pretty familiar with the sound of gunshots, and all of them decided those were not gunshots, that was something else.
Okay.
So they look out the window and they see a mysterious orange light that is sort of bobbing through the trees 300 yards away in the backyard.
Okay.
And so, like any classic late 80s, early 90s D&D playing teenagers, they grab their parents' shotgun and they go out to investigate. Now, when they get to this wooded area where they saw these lights, they find that there is a very strange man there.
Okay.
This man is wearing a suit. He has deep red skin that Burl Willis in an account would describe as being, quote, the color of a cherry. And his hair was black, slicked back. He had a mustache, a big black mustache. And most importantly, he had horns protruding from his forehead.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So this man looks like a fucking classic cartoon style devil.
Yeah.
And they're kind of nervous about this guy because he starts to come to them and he's smiling. And he speaks to them in what they describe as a, quote, European accent. Don't know exactly what that would be. And the boys claim that they don't see his mouth move. They hear his voice in their minds.
Great. So we got a telepathic European.
A telepathic European devil. And he asks them for directions to the nearest town. And the boys basically give him, they point him in the direction of Munson. And to thank them, he gives them a small carved stone dice.
Okay.
And
like D6 or what are we talking?
I believe a D6, yes. It doesn't get specific. But
it's a fucking roll down and they can't even use it.
Wow, that is such a I sense some aggression behind that. Oh, where's my D20? Oh, fuck, it's another fucking Magic the Gathering roll down that's weighted and it's not technically random. I get it, Niall.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about the roll downs. This is a D&D and Magic the
I've
Gathering
been hurt before.
Roommate problem, by the way.
Can they coexist?
It's
I don't
so
know.
difficult. He gives them this dice and he tells them that it would, quote, be good for the game that they were playing. And apparently this dice had like cryptic symbols on them instead of actual numbers.
Uh-huh.
And when they look up from the dice after being handed to him, this man has just straight up vanished.
So just to be clear, he said this will be good for the game you're playing. They didn't like immediately greet him and say, "Oh, we were just playing D&D."
No.
And we saw this weird light and came out and investigated. So they probably didn't tell him they were playing a game, and he just
knew
Okay.
it probably from probing their minds.
Right.
So they're like freaked out. This man gives them the dice, disappears. They run back to the home and hide until the parents get home. Now, this sighting, as the story goes, was reported in a local newspaper, but the reporting on it did not take it very seriously. Notably, I could not find the original article on this.
Mm-hmm.
But this all seemed to like be right before a UFO flap hit, and the Eklund County UFO Research Association saw this happening, and throughout 1989 to 1990, they started to become more interested in this story, and the ECUFORA, the Eklund County UFO Research Association, they interviewed these three teenagers to publish then in their journal on their findings from these kids. And apparently what had happened is that the Willis and Miller families, they, after this sighting, began to experience a streak of tragedy, of bad luck.
Oh, okay.
And they do not, so nothing I found could, tell me details or specifics on what that string of bad luck was, but apparently they attributed the bad luck to the Dice Devil's dice, because apparently they used it. But so it says here that the Willis family destroyed the dice with a hammer in 1991, trying to, prevent more bad luck. But apparently for years after that, they would continue to have shitty luck.
Were they able to destroy it?
Yes, they did destroy it. So there's been a number of explanations. There's only been one sighting of this creature, of this man. And one of the explanations that they give is folie à deux, which is like, it's basically people who have a shared mental delusion is the idea. Yeah. But then they also suggest maybe a prank, or, some of the more far-fetched explanations was this an extraterrestrial, given that UFOs kind of came about afterwards.
Yeah, was this some sort of like portent about the upcoming UFO wave?
Furthermore, because they've been playing Dungeons and Dragons, there were media outlets that I guess took this story to, run with the satanic panic narrative.
Yeah.
Because of all the and keep considering that the creature looked like a devil. It's if it is folie à deux, then it's like, it's a good satanic panic bit of content, right?
Yeah. Yeah, kids are playing D&D in a basement, or lured out of their house into the
by
woods,
a devil
and their
man.
parents aren't home with a shotgun, and a devil man gives them some dice. Yeah, that's like a wet dream for people that are really into the satanic panic.
So that's the Dice Devil of Eklund County.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Now, here's the afterword of the Dice Devil of Eklund County.
If this turns out to be fucking like a fucking like ARG type thing, I'm gonna be mad.
Not an ARG, as far as I can tell. If you look this story up, the actual only evidence you can find is on the Cryptids wiki. It's the only place you can find this. I thought the story was cool, but I was frustrated that I couldn't find any information outside the wiki. So I did a little digging. The wiki entry has an image of this devil man wearing a suit, like an illustration, and I'm like looking at it and I'm like, that looks so familiar. What is this? I reverse image searched it and it didn't turn up the devil man. Like, I took the devil man image on the wiki, reverse image searched it, didn't turn up the devil man, but what it did turn up was 20 some pages of composite sketches of D.B. Cooper from the 1970s.
Oh.
And I looked at the Devilman image and these D.B. Cooper sketches, and the Devilman image is very clearly an edit of the D.B. Cooper sketch. very, very clearly.
Interesting. Okay.
Now,
Man, should we do a DB Cooper episode?
probably
I feel like
should.
that probably is one we could do.
it's,
All right, I'll add it
we've
to my
avoided
list.
that one for so long, and it's probably, I mean, not
There's gotta be
avoided.
conspiracies about it.
Oh, definitely. Avoided implies we like didn't want to do it. We just haven't done it yet, I guess I should say. But there's definitely stuff there. I've read stuff about DB Cooper. But here's the thing. You look into the specifics of this case. There is no Eklund County in Arkansas. You cannot find anything on the 3 teenagers. There's no Eklund County UFO Research Association, even in other places where there is an Eklund County. Nothing there. And I was like, I looked at the editor of the wiki page. They have 6 contributions to the wiki exclusively to the page on the Dice Devil.
Okay, so this is someone's pet project.
If you look around online, you can find D&D players referring to being cursed by the Dice Devil with bad luck rolls. So here's my question. Did a D&D nerd do a cryptid hoax to create lore for bad dice rolls? That's my question.
That's what it seems like is happening here. It sounds like we're trying to get lore for when your dice don't work well and you keep rolling nat ones and falling on your ass in front of all your friends.
Yeah, it was a whole. I liked the story so much that I was like kind of angry that I was like, I think this person completely made this up. I'm pretty sure this person made this up. But again, I just thought the story was so good.
It's a good story. I wish it were real.
Yeah. So,
or at least as real as a lot of these things are.
Last couple ones here, I'm going to do a sort of shotgun approach because these were cryptids that were very short stories. And in one of the cases, I couldn't find fucking anything on this. I don't think it's like fake or anything. I couldn't find other information on it, and I'm kind of guessing it's because it's locked behind another language internet that I can't really see or rather understand. But I did find an entry on something called the Disco Demon, or aka the Diabel Z Discoteki.
Okay.
Which is Polish for devil from the disco. Apparently, this was a hoax demon cryptid, like a humanoid demon. It was a 1980s and 1990s urban legend that spread in the Ostro area of Poland. And apparently, this creature is a shapeshifter. It could turn into one of 2 forms. It had a human form, and it also had a demon form, and seemed to be completely sentient. But what you could pick up on this creature is that it smelled of sulfur and it had hooves, even when it was in its human form. So it has like a demon form and a human form. No matter what, it's always got hooves and it smells like shit.
So you feet people are going to be left unfulfilled, even in its human
maybe there's
form.
hoof people. I don't know. Hoof?
There might
Hoof?
be, but they may not be the same as the foot
That's
people.
true.
So the foot
That's
people
true.
are still going to be left unfulfilled.
That's true. Yeah, you're going to the disco and you see somebody with their you think that person's got, platforms on,
mm-hmm.
and the other person's got to be like, those are his hooves, you bitch.
Imagine, yeah, Jesus. I was trying to figure out if I could work my way around to that.
Stupid.
But I'm glad
I
you
feel
got
stupid for that.
I would imagine if you were to like walk into a fucking like club and it's like 10 o'clock at night, you're a little buzzed because you pregame, and you see some person just like dancing on the dance floor, and you look down and they have hooves.
It'd be
not
kinda,
like the shoes that they walk, but
full on.
I would fucking freak out.
Yeah,
that would be so
and presumably
wild.
if you're out at the disco doing this shit, you're on some sort of drug, so it's like you're not sure what you're seeing anymore. Now, what I really, really like about this and why I wanted to bring it up is apparently it's notable. The Disco Demon is notable for driving around in a car.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's described as pulling up in a completely black BMW that doesn't have a license plate, and instead of car mirrors, it has tiny horns.
Hell yeah. I love, man, that rules.
So you would run into this guy in a bar parking lot, and he would walk out of his car or out of the bar and ask a random person what the time is. And if you were to respond to him, he would either kill you or somebody else at the party at the bar or the disco or whatever. So my understanding of this creature is that it is an urban legend that was like a hoax creature that started spreading as a story to try and keep people away from parties, bars, and raves. It's one of those things where, like,
fun police, like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is just like it sort of makes sense, you know. Like, I feel like the '90s, that's like the height of like rave culture, really, right?
Yeah.
So like, but that's associated with like drugs and all this stuff, and you know, parents or maybe friends concerned about what goes on at a rave are like, well, the disco demon's gonna kill you if you do that. So
I do love that when someone is trying to scare you away from doing something fun, it's so much like, oh, there's a fucking either a like Jack the Ripper there or a devil there.
yeah,
And those are the things people reach for to try to scare you away from doing something fun.
Yeah.
Where it's like, give me like a reasonable fear, not something that's that outlandish.
So that's the disco devil. If there is somebody, if like we have a Polish listener who has like heard of, I would love to know if this is legitimately like an urban legend that spread, because again, I would be like, I checked the wiki edits to this one as well, and it has a lot of different contributions that make me assume it's got enough people who have contributed to it that, I don't know, I think there's a chance it's like an actual urban legend, but couldn't find anything in the English side of the internet about the disco demon outside of this article.
Maybe we'll have to ask our German consultant if she's heard anything about the disco devil.
Maybe that's I'll see what I can hit her up and see what she says. Honestly, we should just have her on the show.
We should, yeah. We got to find a German thing to bring her on.
That's a 3-hour episode that's going to have
Yeah.
tangents on German politics and stuff. So
yeah, I hope if we do that episode, you'll get to hear all about the German language and the German.
I
politics,
would love to do that. I would be down to do that episode.
Oh, for sure. I love you.
So next up, Niall, this is the Bukit Timah Monkey Man.
Sorry, say it one more time.
Bukit Timah Monkey Man. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Sure. All right.
This is an ape-dwelling forest humanoid creature.
Wait.
Sorry,
an ape dwelling. This thing lives
This is
in
an
ape.
ape-like forest-dwelling humanoid creature that is said to live in the Bukit Timah region of Singapore.
Okay, so that's a region. Gotcha.
Yes.
Sometimes when there are those, so this is basically like the Dover demon type thing where it's location name type of creature. Gotcha.
It's described as a bipedal ape, right? So like it's probably a monkey.
Right.
By the way.
Yeah.
But it has gray hair that covers its entire body, and it stands 1 to 2 meters tall. Fuck, what is that in our? That's like
between 3 and 6 feet.
That's like 3 to 5 feet or something like that. And it has a monkey's face. So the reason why it gets especially like enters cryptid status, even though people are like, this is probably just an actual monkey because there are monkeys there, is its size.
How big is it?
What I just said, 3 to 5 feet tall, somewhere in there, right? So, so sightings of this thing are pretty rare, I guess. There's I guess some of this comes from Malay folklore, or from these Japanese soldiers who would be stationed there during World War II. And apparently the first sighting of this creature that was reported was in 1805. A Malay elder reported seeing this hairy bipedal creature. And that gets associated with the Bukit Timah Monkey Man. But here I have a series of sightings that I don't quite know where they're sourced from. They just have like random like people of Singapore like talking about this creature. So the first sighting, it says, is from a 48-year-old taxi driver in the neighborhood of Serangoon says this, quote, "When driving my taxi past the fire station on Upper Bukit Timah Road in the middle of the night, I hit what I thought was a child that ran out in the middle of the road. It was on the car bonnet and then snarled at me. It was like a monkey, but so big. It ran off injured, covered in blood, and holding an arm which was broken."
Damn. Okay, so we have a hit and run for our first sighting.
Yeah. We have another sighting from a 29-year-old housewife who said, quote, "I was going to the bus stop early one morning to catch the bus 171. It was very foggy and cold. I thought I saw a tramp going through the rubbish bin. However, when I approached, it called out with a loud animal sound and ran back into the forest. It was gray, hairy, and ran on two legs, but had a monkey's face. I was shivering with fear and called the police, but to no avail." And then finally, a 65-year-old retiree in Bukit Panjang recalls a creature that they saw when they were a child and says this, quote, "We were always told as children when in the kampung not to go near the forest at night due to the monkey man. Of course, we never saw it ourselves, but it was always some uncle or friend of the family who had seen it. Once we were shown these footprints near the forest road, and I remember the strong urine smell. Whenever we heard shrieks coming from the jungle, we would tell each other, 'Don't disturb the monkey man.'" So this got like a pretty good amount of reporting in 2008, like sightings of this creature.
Mhm.
There's a Chinese language newspaper called Xinmin Daily News that talked about this creature. And they were saying that it was popping up late at night in the Bukit Timah Nature Reserve. They've sent people out to search for it, but have never found it. And the actual like people who worked at the Bukit Timah Nature Reserve, they gave an official stance on what they think people are eating, or Jesus, what people are seeing. Something's wrong with my brain because I'm reading ahead. I'm reading ahead is the thing.
Yeah.
What people are seeing is a common long-tailed crab-eating macaque.
Okay.
But this is one of the things that will happen in cryptid stories often, which is you will see something and then later, intentionally or not, maybe unintentionally, exaggerate details such as the size of the thing. You're freaked out in the moment. I mean, imagine if you hit a fucking monkey in your car and it screeched at you and ran away on two legs. You would like retell that story later and maybe unintentionally embellish. And that is what people think is happening here.
In emotional states, like I remember watching a thing about one of the documentaries we watched, and it was talking about people who saw thunderbirds, like the cryptid version, and how people have such a bad ability to differentiate size and distance in the heat of the moment in an emotional state.
It's the same problem with UFOs too, really.
Yeah, that's just stuck with me ever since I watched that, where it's like, yeah, just because you think if the main differentiating factor between this and a normal monkey is that it's bigger, then you're probably just misjudging the size, and this is just a normal monkey.
Yeah, which is fine. You're allowed to think a monkey's a cryptid, I think.
For sure. Yeah, it makes life more interesting.
The last thing I found in the Bukit Timah Monkey Man was that in late 2020 there was a sighting of it by a man who was doing a night hike. And it was covered in media reports, but once again, never found this thing.
Okay.
So, Niall, those are my humanoid cryptids. Those are my ape-like, often, sometimes uncanny devil man cryptids. I just realized that it was like 2 ape creatures and 2 devil creatures.
Yeah, you kind of went for a double theme here.
Didn't really realize that as I did it. So those are our cryptids for this week.
Good stuff. I really like I like that we don't get a lot of devils, so I'm glad that we get to add more of those to the repertoire, especially even though one is related to dice and also is probably entirely made up.
So it's rare to me. Like, here's the thing. I feel like because this is the kind of thing that I would want to do as a DM, a DM for a Dungeons and Dragons game, is like, I feel like this person made this wiki article and like gave it to their players or something.
Yeah.
You know, like it feels like a creepy lore thing that you could like put together for a game. 'Cause like if this was a person who is like, I want to willingly create, like, I want to create a cryptid, then you'd think it would at least pop up in other places too.
Yeah, you think they would put it somewhere other than just the one wiki.
Yeah. So I do genuinely think that was like a Dungeons and Dragons, like, in-game creature, maybe. I mean,
Now we wait to see if the person that created this somehow stumbles upon our podcast.
I would love if you're the person who created that would be super sick. Let us know.
Just send us confirmation that that's what
I know their
happened over
username and
email.
stuff. So I don't know. It was such a good story that I wanted to tell it, but I was also like, man, this is not real. There's no story.
I still get notifications from the Ong's Hat Twitter account following us after you pulled the rug over my eyes for a full episode.
Look, I still think Ong's Hat is a cool story.
Oh, it's worth covering.
And here's the thing, I like a cool story that was made up occasionally. These things tend to become a part of the canon, even if it's like hoaxness or like fakeness has been discovered. It's like, I just wonder, give it another 10 years, does the Dice Devil become a part of the cryptid canon, and was that the intention of the creator? I don't know.
And also, does that technically make it a tulpa because it was a made up story that then has gotten accepted into the canon
hadn't considered
and been given
that.
power by belief?
Yeah, fair point. But Niall, that's my humanoid cryptid grab bag this week. And that brings us to Big Question Listener Edition. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay. This is a big question that was given to us by Sydney a while back. Shouts out to Sydney. And here's what it says. If you had to come up with a cryptid name and a couple of cryptid attributes, i.e. habitat, diet, supernatural abilities, mating call, etc., for your podcast co-host, what would they be?
Oh, shit. Okay, so I have to come up with ones for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Kyle, I think if you were to be a cryptid, I don't have a full name. I'm going to have to kind of figure out the name as I talk through this, because I think a lot about the kind of weirder one-off cryptids, the kind of like Sandown clowns and stuff like that, where it's like kind of unique. And I think that you would have some sort of like metal structure to you as a cryptid, because you're kind of going towards that kind of mech standpoint. So like, I don't know if you would be some sort of cyborg type thing, but I think there would be some sort of kind of robotic metal type feeling to you. So you would be a humanoid, but you would be kind of a hybrid humanoid, the fucking metal machine man. Basically, I think I'm unintentionally making you Tetsuo the Iron Man as a cryptid here. I realized that as I was talking, that's basically what I'm describing here is I'm turning you into a metal fetishist, but it happens to be like all be purple and green in the right colors. What
you're saying is you're doing transformation fetishism on Kyle transforming into Ava Unit 1. Okay. I respect that.
And your mating call is just that like cry when the like whatever the programming is that allows the like inner beast of the Ava's the soul to come out and like screams.
Okay, so
that would be your mating call.
I'm screaming like a berserk Ava unit. Okay. Honestly, I would love that for me. But can you imagine the absolute horror of this being a cryptid sighting that you witness? It would be awful.
Oh, it would be horrific. Especially and also the name would be you'd be the Kava.
Okay. No,
that actually sounds like a creature name. So I'm sticking with it.
I had a similar direction for you, to be honest. This is so stupid.
Look, we're both people driven by obsession. So go ahead and just say it. It's one of like three things.
I'm thinking you're what's known as the common Nile creature. Kamen, common Nile creature, aka the Kyle creature.
just keep the fucking running bit of everyone always
honestly,
being like, those aren't
this
actually
is like
their names, right?
I'm gonna go ahead and say this is in some weird way the sexual dimorphism of a cava, because
yeah, there you go. Because I'm the
you're like an insect. I was kind of
the
picturing like creature from the Black Lagoon, but with like insect features, like maybe praying mantis arms and like antenna and big bug eyes.
Okay, so we're going for more of the like Ishinomori version where there's actually a bestial form between, because like in the original manga of Kamen Rider, the actual his body changes into this thing and that gets brought into the Shin Kamen Rider movie because that has like elements of the manga. And so there is that kind of bug-like bestial form with
and I'm gonna go ahead and say that one of the supernatural powers that you have is to read people's minds, but to read their minds, you have to put a horned hand symbol that comes out of your claws,
motherfucker,
and you can press it up against somebody's forehead and know all their thoughts. And now for those who can't see, I'm doing sort of the quiet coyote, the too sweet, yeah, and you put that up against people's foreheads, and they can hear too sweet echo in their minds. And your mating call though is like really runs counter to a lot of this because it's basically just like you recommending different like records like in your normal voice. It like does all these horrifying things, but like if you're going to fuck this thing, it's going to talk to you about music.
It is one of those things where if someone does come on to me in any real way, shape, or form, I do get so anxious that I start just like talking about whatever is coming around in my brain. So that really does fit and is true to life. Whereas I guess if someone tries to fuck you, you just scream like you've just been.
I told you about that problem in confidence that you would not bring it up on the show, but here we are. So.
You're right. I'll edit it out. Don't worry about it. I've got a good edit on.
So that's a great cryptid big question, and I love these listener big questions. So if people want to send in more, we have a lot of backup cryptid ones. So
yeah, I'm gonna start trying to pull those because look. Sometimes it's hard after 400 episodes to come up with new big questions, but you guys have different brains than I do, so you have different ideas.
And that's the thing is like I will finish an episode and be like, oh, I gotta write a big question. It's one of the harder parts of doing this, honestly. It's one thing to like research a thing and like learn about a topic and then present it. It's another thing to like get creative every single episode where you're like, I just wrote this long ass thing on this subject and now I gotta think. So if you got UFO, conspiracy, if you got some good big question proposals, hit us up in our inbox and we'd love to check it out. So thank you very much, Sydney. That was a great big question. But yeah, that was the Cryptids episode. Niall, anything else before we hit the business?
No, I think it's time to get down to business. So if you want to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter at IGW.
You can follow us on Facebook.com/itgetsweirdpodcast.
And we're on all your favorite podcatchers. If you listen to podcasts somewhere, look up It Gets Weird, and we're probably there.
Twitch.tv/itgetsweird. Come check it out. I'm right now playing through the Elden Ring DLC. I've been going through it slowly, basically only playing it on weekends at this point. But if that sounds fun, you can get in there and chat with other listeners of the show. It's a good time. Come check it out. Email us at itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com. You got big question suggestions. You got a cool story you want to share with us. Hell, if you just want to tell us how much you like us or how much we suck, that's either one's fine. Go ahead and hit us up there. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/itgetsweird. We have a $2 tier and a $5 tier. At the $2 tier, you get the bonus show, It Gets Weird TV, where right now we are covering the back half of season 2 of The X-Files on a show called It Gets Weird TV. I've already said that. And we discuss it. So that's our $2 tier. At the $5 tier, you get more bonus content. And whether you donate to the $2 tier or the $5 tier, you get access to the main show 2 days early on Friday instead of Sunday. And you get access to the Discord where we're hanging out, chatting with all kinds of listeners and stuff. $2 tier, $5 tier, there's so much backlog of content on there. Hundreds of episodes at this point, probably. So please check it out. If you can donate to us, we'd really, really appreciate it. Keeps the lights on here at It Gets Weird. We also have a $1 tier that's just a tip. You're not getting anything. You're just saying, hey, thanks for doing your show. Here's $1. Thanks for doing what you do. If you can't donate, please tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your congressman all about It Gets Weird podcast.
All right. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for continuing to support the show. Oh, what?
We got Biden to step down.
Oh, right. We did. Look, we thought we should do something special for the community for our 8th anniversary. And we planned all this in advance, and it was a big thing that we worked on. It's been working on a while. We've been back and forth on the back channels with Biden for months.
For a while now.
We finally got him to concede when we were like, it'll be on National Ice Cream Day. You can drown your sorrows in a scoop of fudge ripple. And he did it.
He wasn't happy about it.
He finally listened.
But he did it. So congratulations to the It Gets Weird listeners. 8th anniversary celebration. Joe Biden steps down. Thank you all very much. And this is why we've been asking you to talk to your congressman about our show. So
because we should be deciding how politics go.
Yeah, I agree, actually.
Yeah, we fucked up the normal ending to this show. So I'm just gonna say thank you all for listening, and this has been It Gets Weird, and I've been Niall.
I'm Kyle. Thank you for 8 years, everybody.
8 fucking years.
Thank you.
Thank you.